Good evening. Ira Epstein with your SPDR ETF market wrap-up. And this wrap-up's for Tuesday, April 26, 2022. Well, it's a sea of red if you take a look at it. Nothing's good on these markets. The markets that are up are the safe haven plays. Occasionally a gold bid. You'll get TLT and the BNDs and the other markets coming up. Energy up a little bit. But we're seeing here Amazon getting hit. Twitter down $2. So here you go. Markets bought it. You wonder why the market didn't fill up to 54.10 yesterday on the news of a done deal. And I'm telling you, there's some regulatory issues that are there. And a deal's not a done deal to the end. I would have thought this market would have gone much closer. I remember when LVMH bought Tiffany, and I was watching it because my wife's with Tiffany, and I'm watching what's going on through there. And she's going, well, why doesn't it go to the price? I said, because there's always the variable that LVMH at that point may not follow through. And sure enough, they tried not to. It did certain things, and, you know, thank God she has a trading husband, okay? So to make a long story short here, it's an interesting time. Who'd have thought that market after market day we're talking about bear market moves, not bull market moves. The only moves that are the bull are the safe haven plays from time to time. Now the Bank of Japan meets tomorrow on a 2-day meeting. Tonight's news, what we heard that Russia is cutting off Poland and Belarus from natural gas. They claim it's because they want to be paid in rubles, but it's probably more than that. Mr. Lazarov keeps threatening America that we're pushing everybody into a nuclear situation, which is total nonsense. We're being very quiet. I do respect what the Biden administration is doing and how well they're doing it to avoid falling into any of those verbal pitfalls. It's not the case between the Brits, though. They're attacking pretty good Russia, and Russia's starting to lash back at them, at least verbally. Not much they can do. Isn't a lot of trade between the UK and Russia that you can harm. When you look at Twitter, so we came up and all of a sudden we're slipping down. This could become a saucer cup that's bearish. Got to be careful with these things. Saucer cup's just that. You have a coffee cup, you come up here and here's the handle, and if you break through these lows, well, you'd fill the gap, but that's what the traders would call it. It's fun to call these things that, but you know, it's like being on a psychedelic drug. You look at it today, it's one thing. Tomorrow, it's another. If you look at Twitter, higher lows, higher highs. The pattern is bullish when you look through that. I expected resistance at the 200-day average. I've been adamant about it, and that's where you're at. I also pointed out that the Bollinger Band, where the price of the purchases is going to be your resistance for a while, and that's certainly where you're at, 53.88 versus a potential 54.10. Could the market for some reason fall back into the 18-day average? It could. Do you want to be bearish this? No. Okay, it's just not ready to finish. Now, I asked you yesterday to send me names to give me a new name. It's my fault that I didn't even look at them today. I will tomorrow. So if you have something that you want me to review, maybe a replacement of a few things that we're following, send me those names. I am not interested in triple leverage, whatever. I won't even review them. But I will look at different stocks. I will look at different ETFs, spiders, and the like. So if you have them, write me. How do you do that? If you watch me on YouTube, just write it there and I will review them all. I'm ready to make the change. I just couldn't do it today. We had too much going on. And remember, I do run a brokerage firm. I know that sounds crazy to a lot of people. Higher lows, higher highs. I look at this part of it as resistance. By the way, I run a division within the brokerage firm. When you look at Twitter, higher lows, higher highs, and the resistance at the 200-day moving average of closes, it's still there. It's not changing. So now we get to AMC, which has made me feel like a champion because I was saying how terrible. I don't believe in these companies. But I'm also telling you, and I said it yesterday, I'm getting to that area where I'd certainly never fight my embedded reading. When it turns, it probably gives you the turn for the spring, summer markets, because you will get some very good numbers as the kids get out of school, as we get the better movies coming in, as people have learned, hey, what you're going to release on the big screen, I think in spring and summer is not going to be exactly what you're going to do with multiple release on streaming parts on the television. That's what I think. Probably headed to the 1404 level to just punish everybody. Apple. Okay, this is a big close. It's under everything. Now, normally this becomes the major support zone right here. If this wants to let go, it's going to trap people. I don't know if it is or isn't going to do it. But what is the market doing with this? So I keep looking. Watch. Are we embedding? Embedding is just so darn important. Okay, both numbers are over 20 on Thursday. Friday, they're not. They're not on Monday. 2 days in a row. They're not today. Okay, you're embedded, which tells me until the red line pops back over 20, you got downside here. And the pros are going to sell. Now, do I ever tell a trader to go short under a Bollinger Band? Let me read my lips. Read them. Never, never, never. Okay? That doesn't mean that this market can't go lower. I think there'll be opportunities to the right-hand side of the band is what I'm saying. A lot of you don't want to be short. I know that. I get it. But it's also me saying you don't want to be a buyer. You know, you decide what you want to do. But as a chartist, I'll say what I think the chart's saying. Disney, the same. I liked Disney. I liked it for a lot of reasons with the spring and summer coming. But they've really gotten themselves into a terrible argument, I think, in Florida, one that they can't win. And I don't get it, what they're going to do. But the stock is paying for that. Then you've got spring and summer coming. How are the streaming services doing? Questionable. And, of course, these COVID outbreaks, to a degree, slow things down. But I think America is going to travel like mad in the spring and summer. I think it's going to be wild in America. In XLF, you're under the lower band. The market is not a trend. What you had was a downtrend. And if you take a look at this, if I can get it there, when this happened, you broke this whole pattern of lower highs, lower lows. And look at the Bollinger Band with the enhanced slow stochastic. You get a reading of 22. I'm going to teach you at the end of this how you get and understand these things. That calls for a move potential. It doesn't have to do it. And I give you a number of an out that says, hey, it's just not going to happen in my course. I'm looking for that 38.11. I got it, and that's all it's worth. That does not mean that you're going to start another uptrend. That's all it's worth. Now the market's in oversold territory. It's got to figure out what to do next. It's that simple. And that's where we're at with it. XLI, you're fighting at the lower band. Could still work lower, but you are oversold in the market. XSD, embedded reading. All of these rallies continue to be the short sales. If you don't short sell, that's fine. It also means it's telling you don't be a buyer. That's what it's saying, and that's worth everything. I mean, I know so many people that refuse to ever short sell, and they wait for my signals to say, okay, I see it on the upside. But you do know right now we're in a bear market. And in a bear market, you're going to get more breaks than you are rallies. You'll get corrections that are the rallies, but you're not going to get a bull market out of this until the market decides it's done enough, and it hasn't done that. It's just getting going. It's the scary part in terms of interest rates and the slowing down. Are you looking at the economic data that I cover? If you get my subscriber videos, I keep pointing it out. Here's this report, that report. They stink. You're fighting a battle at the 18-day average. There is no trend. You have a lower low, higher high. I think you're getting caught in the home builders in the tightness right now of the Bollinger Bands. You have one side saying America wants to buy homes. You have another side, I saw today an average median price, $450,000. I was reading that and going, is this insane? Were you looking at the Schiller numbers? Oh my God. Next, I'm looking at XLE, higher high, lower low. Did you look at New York, at the rents, what's going on? Now, we all don't live in New York. I can't afford New York. I've lived in New York. I know exactly what it's about. It's beyond expensive. You have to Obviously, they pay more than they do in other parts of the country, but people there, it's very difficult. You generally have a much smaller place because you're out all the time. It's a whole different type of city than a city like Chicago, where you can afford a big, beautiful place if you make enough money to do that. If not, even your smaller places are grandiose compared to what a small place in New York is. Here you don't have a trend, you're just bouncing around. Gold down to the Bollinger Band, getting a bounce, oversold. Lots of layers of support. I don't think the pros are pressing the short side of gold down here. I'll say the same in GDX. I think you're getting to the point where short covering's ready to show up. Copper, much weaker than I thought. I blame it 100% on China. This is them with their shut-in policies, the nonsense of all that, creating this situation that's going to hurt all of us, because when you see that happening, it's lack of demand, not that there's too much copper. And what's that going to do to our supply chain? It's just going to keep inflation tight. It's going to tighten them up. TLT, it would not surprise me. In fact, I'm expecting it. Look at the slow stochastic. You lost the embedded reading. So I'm looking for the 18-day average. I don't know how it's going to hit, but that's the number I'm looking for. And in UUP, the bull market continued. So as I told you, you get these type of plays here where you embed. You're looking at these breaks to try to come in. How do you do it? I've put it together so that you're going to learn it in an afternoon. It's really very simple. Take a look at this. Welcome. I'm Ira Epstein, and I'm here to talk about my enhanced Bollinger Band course. Now, many of you have taken my regular charting course, and if not, you might think you know something about Bollinger Bands. As you know, Bollinger Bands are an algorithm designed to keep the market trading within it 95% of the time, and on a chart, it will offer on the top part resistance, on the bottom support, and the idea is the market will travel within them. We know that sometimes it latches onto that band, goes up or goes down. Well, how do you play with that? Can you pyramid the positions off that type of thinking? Well, I've applied all three of these into 13 different videos that teach you my concept of it. And from that concept, you're able to work with weekly charts and or daily charts. The 13 videos, each about 7 minutes long. The idea here is not to put you in school forever, but to teach. Now, if you haven't tried my complete futures research, I throw that in as well. Whether you've tried this or not, I think it's worth taking a look at. I think you're going to learn something from there. That research, by the way, covers twice daily market updates for you and access to what I call window envelope numbers, which I think are very important when looking at these Bollinger Bands. The next part is a trial to our charting software so you can make your charts look the same way that mine do. It's that simple. Where do you go with it and how do you get all this? It's simple. You go to our website, www.iraepstein.com. If you go to the word education, everything you need is answered there. You can also call my staff. They'll be happy to help you get set up. I'm Ira Epstein, on the road to your education.